So this trial garden here is quite a large garden, and there's a lot of different plants in here. A lot of what they do is kind of like masses, so like clumps of like 3 to 5 plants. But you can just see from where I'm standing right now, there's quite a lot of color that's just really showing in this video. A lot of what you're seeing is also ornamental grasses, and I think that counts too as fall color. So I'm just going to walk around and point out a few of the things that are popping out here in front of us for color. Some of these things are going to be in their prime, others maybe are on a second bloom cycle. So we'll just take a look and I'll kind of point things out as we're going along. I'm going to really just only point out things that are flowering. So there are a lot of other things you're going to see in the video, but I'm going to point out just things that are flowering because there's 1,000 plants in here and I can't take all day to point out every single plant. So let's start off here. This is the Lavender Sweet Romance, and this plant definitely is something that has bloomed throughout the summer several different times, and right now it's got a pretty good coverage of flowers for September. You can also see here's a beautiful butterfly bush, and this plant too has been blooming for probably going on about 1.5 months, 2 months now, and looking fabulous. Alstroemeria, that's the red plant you're seeing. That is a very long blooming perennial. That starts early summer and just continues to go well into the fall. This particular variety here is called Inca Jolie, and it's kind of a reddish color. And this also makes a very nice cut flower. Behind it is the Russian sage. I'm not sure. This one actually is called Rocket Man, but really any Russian sage is going to have great fall color. And you can see how that looks really nice, that silvery foliage and then those purple blooms. Next to it here, this grassy looking plant, this is a Tradiscanthia, and this one here is Amethyst Kiss, one we don't carry, but you can see too a lot of buds on here, and this has been blooming throughout the summer as well. Hearty Hibiscus, although they may not be in their full bloom right now, you can see how they have beautiful foliage. So this foliage here is starting to turn kind of a coppery color. It was black when it was in its full glory, but now it's starting to take on kind of that coppery yellow color for fall color. The white you're seeing there, that is a clump of, that is Nepeta, and that's just I'm going to call it generic Nepeta. It's a beautiful white color. That actually is the perennial plant of the year for 2021, and there's a lot of pollinators right now on that plant, and that's another one, long blooming, great fall color. In the back there you're seeing grass that is Schizocarium, and I'm going to figure out which one it is when I get to the other side. But you can see beautiful burgundy foliage, motion. Grass gives great motion in the garden. Here we have Allium. The Allium has definitely flopped. This is Medusa, and Medusa is a taller Allium. And so this is kind of something that we do see with this one, is that it is a little floppier. But this is a little bit later blooming than some of the other Alliums, and you can see the beautiful purple balls on that foliage. This little spiky looking plant, this here is a Yucca, and Yucca's got great foliage. So foliage that looks good during the summer, and the color takes you into the fall as well. Sedum is always a fall favorite. Sedum is definitely a staple fall plant, so you can't go wrong with planting sedum in the garden. That's going to definitely give you great fall color. As we walk along here, you can see there's a Coreopsis that's still in bloom. This Coreopsis, let's go in and take a closer look. It looks like it's called satin lace maybe. But Coreopsis also is a fairly long blooming perennial that you'll get some blooms for later color. On the ground there, that little purple you're seeing is Nepeta, and that plant has been trimmed back several times throughout the summer and just continues to bloom and is looking great this fall as well. There's some more Russian sage, and planted in front of it is Sedum Lemon Jade. That's probably about 18 inches tall. Not your typical looking sedum. I'm going to get the other sedum in the background there. Lemon Jade is more of a chartreuse yellow colored flower, where a lot of the sedums are normally more that pinky red color. Also, depending on where you live, the Crepe Myrtles are great fall color. This one here is just starting to bloom actually, and lots of buds on it. So Crepe Myrtle usually is one of those plants that needs a lot of heat to take off, and that's why we're just seeing this one starting to bloom with a lot of buds yet to come. More grass in the garden. This one here is the Schizocarium Blue Heaven, it looks like. Beautiful grass. This is a little bit taller than some of the other varieties that we currently carry. Another butterfly bush showing some beautiful color yet. Sedum. This is Sedum, I think this is Sedum Autumn Joy, which is a kind of more of an old-fashioned type sedum, but very reliable and looks great. Behind that, that white flower, that's Anemone Honore Jorbert. So that's a very tall anemone, probably about 4 foot tall. But again, great fall color if you're looking to add that to your garden. Some of the colors we're seeing here, this garden here looks like it's actually a moon garden because this edge here is all white plants. So we're seeing some white phlox there in the back, and that's looking really pretty, and that's probably on its second bloom cycle. There's also some salvia up front here, some white salvia that has a little bit of color, so that's looking really pretty. Behind it, there's a few little white cone flowers. That's the Price is White. You can see there's some orange coneflowers in the back. So coneflowers also are a plant that will last into the fall and bloom and give you color as well. Up front along this pathway is some Nepeta. This is Cat's Pajamas. And that looks just as beautiful as it did earlier this spring when it was blooming. In the background is some more of the Russian sage. Now this is pretty much done flowering. But even though it's done flowering, you can see that the remnants still have kind of a purple color to them. So that even stands out as like the spent blooms. They still are looking really great as well. Nafophias. There's a lot of Nafophia blooming in the garden right now. Those are like the red hot pokers. And that's a plant that's been blooming for about 2 months in the garden as well. In the background, the white you're seeing there, that's more of the anemone. And you can see on that fence there just how tall it is. Some of the reblooming daylilies are still putting on flowers. This one here is the Peony Shalom display. You can see it, let's see here, try to get it in the picture here. So there's one blooming there and one there. Some of the other colors for fall are heuchera. So they're not flowering, but they're a foliage color. And a lot of the things in the fall that give color are foliage. Like think about the ornamental grasses. They're not really a flower, but they have more foliage type color. So this grouping here is the wild berry, and you can see how nice that looks with the greens. But then also as we walk along here, there's a little bit of a grouping where it's mixed in with some phlox. So, or not phlox, excuse me, some sedum. So that sedum looks really pretty mixed in with that heuchera as well. Just kind of the pink of the sedum is really accenting the kind of pinky black leaves there of the heuchera. In the back there is opening Act Phlox, which is an early blooming phlox, and you can see it's got a great rebloom here in the fall. So that's definitely putting on a fall show as well. We've got more of the Nafophia. This is Solar Flare, the yellow flowers. Planted in front of it is Salvia Violet Riot, which has got just a little bit of purple blooming. So I mean that's been trimmed back and that's doing a great rebloom. Up in front is the Sedum Yellow Brick Road, which looks really nice with that solar flare, how it kind of, the yellows complement each other quite nicely. Walking along, we have some of the Going Bananas daylilies that are blooming. Beautiful grass there. That's Lemon Squeeze. More of the heucheras. These are Cherry Truffles. And you can just see how pretty that foliage looks with the sedum that it's planted with. In the back there, that's a really beautiful, beautiful sight. All that sage blooming. That's Denim and Lace. And that bloomed earlier this season and is really blooming again now. So that's kind of pretty. There's a few little daisies that are poking through. This is Banana Cream 2, which is a new version of Banana Cream for 2021, 2022. Really beautiful flowers. They look like they're almost like a double row of blooms. So you can see how there's a lot of spent blooms, but it sent up some additional new ones. More heuchera. This is the black pearl along the front. And then we're seeing some veronica just randomly blooming along with daisy may. So that's kind of this little section. In the back there's a beautiful grass. I believe that's the Oktoberfest or Huron sunrise grass. It looks so pretty as it's blowing in the breeze. Walk through this little pathway and it's just, I feel like there's so much color where to even begin. So I think what we'll do is we'll just walk down this path and I'll point out some of the new things that might be blooming that we didn't see in that earlier little garden bed. We've got more butterfly bush. This is really great foliage. So this is Euphorbia Bonfire. That's a spring blooming plant, but look at the great fall foliage on that. This is Schizocarium smoke signal grass. You can see how that one's a little shorter than the one we saw earlier in the video. As we walk along, we have some Agastachi Blue Fortune, which is the purple, followed up with more Sedum, and also some more of the lavender blooming. Perennial geraniums. This is Geranium Roseanne, this wispy purple one. That's a long blooming perennial as well. That really has flowers on it all summer long. So if you're looking for a long blooming perennial Roseanne. Got some veronica with a little bit of color. Here's some more veronica. Actually, this is Salvia. Another Alstroemeria. This is Inca Jolie again. But you can see consistently throughout the garden how it's looking good in multiple places. This is some phlox that has just a little bit of color on it. Some balloon flower. Some more phlox. There's a few daylilies blooming here in this daylily bed, mostly the rebloomers. This yellow one here is Happy Returns. Going Bananas, Proven Winners variety. Here's another tall phlox blooming pretty nicely. I want to show you this one. This is called King of Ages. This is a Proven Winner variety. Now these look like they got cold last night because they're a little slimy, but I'm going to try to show you some of the blooms that are fresh. These are pretty fresh. So this is Daylily King of Ages, something to look for in 2021, new variety. Kind of show you where we've been and where we're headed. Hoping this wind isn't affecting what you're hearing. It's pretty windy out here today. All right, as we head over to this bed, we're going to start off with, there's a little bit of that sweet romance blooming. Some daylilies, or not daylilies, but butterfly bush. More lavender. You can see there's some pink anemone in there. Anemone is great fall color, along with some Glamour Girl phlox kind of in the background there. This patch of sedum is absolutely beautiful. There's obviously a lot of them here. This is the Rock and Grow Pure Joy sedum. You can see there's a beautiful grass in the background there. Calmagrassa, I can't read it. It's a Calmagrassa grass though. Here we have a new variety for 2021. Let's see here. I think it's oregano or a form of oregano. In the back there, that purple, that's Violet Riot. So some of these plants, a lot of these plants have plant tags, but some of them don't. So some of them I'm going to try to guess from memory. Cat's Meow Nepeta up front here with some blooms. In the back there, there's some Cover Girl phlox. And then a beautiful Pennisedum, Puppy Love. There's that beautiful grass there. Here's some more Russian sage, which is pretty much done flowering. But again, I'm going to go in closer because I'm close here. This is Denim and Lace. And it's done flowering, but you can see how just what's left over there still has a lot of color, kind of that silvery purple color. Some more Sedum. That one's absolutely vibrant. That's Sedum Neon. Really pretty color. I love that neon. More of the Nafophia, more of the Schizocarium grass. Here's a hibiscus. And you can see how the stems on that are kind of red, which that adds a little bit of interest of color as well. Another coneflower, that's powwow wildberry. More sage. You can see how that sage is really consistent. Even though it's kind of done flowering, it's really given a lot of color. More sedum. And you can see, like when you plant the sedum in mass, how it really pops. I mean, if there's one plant, it looks nice. But when you plant like 3 of them together, it creates quite a nice patch of color. More sage there in the background. I think that one is Sage Advice, one of the new varieties from Proven Winners. Here's Rock and Grow Pop Star Sedum, a ground cover sedum. And behind it is Sedum Neon, although it's not as bright as the other Sedum Neon that we saw. The blood grass always adds a lot of color. I'm going to jump over here a minute because this little area has a lot of stuff. So I'm going to kind of do a little squirrel moment and like get sidetracked, but we'll head back to where we left off there with that red grass. So in this garden here, there is coneflowers. It's a new variety there. That's Frankly Scarlet from Proven Winners. You see a beautiful butterfly bush with some more Frankly Scarlet. Over on here is the Anemone Curtain Call. So that's a beautiful pink anemone that doesn't get super tall. Look at that massive color. Like if one plant is really standing out, all right, not one plant because I can't pick just one, but anemone, the pink anemone is amazing. The grasses are pretty amazing. There's a lot, really. A lot of amazing things going on. You just have to know what to choose. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I really want to show you, like, you can have a great fall color garden when you know what to choose. Glamour Girl Phlox. Some more of the Pennisedum grass. Here's another Alstroemeria. This one here is Inca Ice. This is a beautiful peach color. One of the longest blooming perennials in the garden are these Alstroemerias. Some more of the beautiful grass. This is Sedum Pure Joy along the border here. See, not everything looks great, but it doesn't have to. That's why I'm showing you what does look great, so you can figure out what you need to put in the garden for that fall color. All right, we're going to head back to where I had my squirrel moment and get back on path. So I'm going to stand right here actually, and you can see where that red grass is where we left off. I'm going to take this path here because this is actually one of the most beautiful spots in this garden, in my opinion. Like, there's so much color in this, just this little corner. So we've got, the first thing we're having for color is Agastachi Blue Boa, which is right there. All right, it's not Blue Boa. If I said Blue Boa earlier, I was wrong. This is Agastachi Blue Fortune. Anemone. Anemone as far as the eye can see, with more of that Agastachi behind it. Check out all that anemone. Anemone sometimes can be kind of a creepy crawly plant that kind of spreads. These have been in this garden for quite a while, and there's a lot of plants in here. I'm not going to say they don't spread, but they stay pretty contained. So for, you know, as long as these have been in the garden, I would say they probably have maybe spread 24 inches, which isn't bad. Here's a beautiful plant. I'm not even sure what this is called. I want to say like a, I don't know, looks like a little hollyhock, but it's not. And I know the name, but I can't come up with it off the top of my head. So I'm sure somebody's going to comment and tell me what it is. But look at all that fall color. More butterfly bushes and grasses, and Huron Sunrise, some Carl Forrester grass. Beautiful anemone. There's a white butterfly bush there in the back. Coming up to a bunch of Geranium Roseanne tucked in. Look at that. That is a ton of flowers. And that plant has been non-stop since early summer. Definitely one that is like super long blooming. There's some more of the ornamental grasses. Here they kind of used them to create kind of like a fence, really, not a fence, but kind of a fence, kind of a block so you didn't have to see the neighbors behind. And just look at how that blows in the breeze. Ornamental grasses really are a key staple element to having a cool fall garden. Here are some more of the allium. We'll see which ones these are. These are obviously a later blooming allium. This is called Baby Eddie. So they're kind of smaller and a little bit baby blue colored. So this is the last path in this garden. So this tour is almost complete. Look at these. So these are clematis, Stand By Me. And even though they were done blooming a long time ago, look at what's left. Just the little flower seed pod things. Those are pretty cool looking. They look like white flowers even though they're not. More of the anemone. And now we're getting into like a big area of butterfly bush. So Walter's Gardens has the Monarch series. So this is Prince Charming, this bright red. Or it's not red, but it's like magenta. Here's a purple one. There's monarchs fluttering about. This is a really pretty pink one. Not sure which one this is. It's part of like the Grand Cascade series, but it's not Grand Cascade. I'm going to show you Grand Cascade. We'll end with that. Here's kind of a pretty one with that yellow foliage. This is, it's Humdinger Little Nugget. Another beautiful sage. Ooh, let's see here. Here's a really pretty sedum I haven't seen before. This is Sedum Night Embers. It's a black sedum. And I think this might be a new one for 2021. We'll see. Let's keep our eye out on that one. All right, we're going to end here though with a Grand Cascade butterfly bush because I want to show you these huge, huge, huge blooms. So they drape absolutely beautifully. This mound here is only about 3 foot tall by about 4 foot wide, but you can see how the monarchs are loving it. And the blooms are so huge. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to turn around and just kind of show you a glimpse from where I'm at now in the corner of the garden. So you can just see where we've been, colors we've seen, and some of the things that we've talked about. This is Heidi from Garden Crossings out in the trial gardens here at Walter's Gardens.